Hey guys, welcome back. It's Brad here with Beginning Watercolor. This is our week 2 video. So last week what we did was we finished up our we did our color charts and our color wheel, and so we've got these done. Now when you did these, we learned a lot about color, just a good amount, and we also got some experience just putting paint to paper, and we got to, you might not even realize it, but you've already picked up some techniques. We talked a little bit about charging, kind of wet on wet, like how to mix paint. We're going to expand upon that this week. This week we're going to focus on techniques. So we're going to go do that now. So after we've removed those, we've got a clean sheet of watercolor paper ready to go. And I'm going to show you just really quick. These are some of the old examples of what we've done, and then we'll get started on that demo really quickly. Okay, so in the past, these are just past examples. I've made little circles. You can make them however you want, and we've learned different kind of techniques, like some dry brush with a flat wash. This one right in here, you can see I've scratched into like a dark surface with like a razor. There's blotting with paper towels. There's using scrubber brushes to erase things. Just dipping the tip of your brush into a wet surface. Layering. You can see the different layering, different kind of brush strokes, and wet on wet, all sorts of stuff. All right, so we've got that, and then we've got so now we went from circles to squares, different things going on in here. You can see like some salt going on that one, some splatter techniques. I think that might have been with the toothbrush, I don't know, but some sort of splatter techniques. And I think this is bruising, so kind of on a wet surface, kind of pushing the edge of the brush into the paper. Makes lines like that. Some dry brush, different combinations on here. So then we got some rectangles here, some different, wet on wet, and then some dry over the top of it. Different brush strokes. This is created by using a straw to blow the paint around. Again, some more layering and bruising. Lots of cool, just different things that we can kind of experiment with, and in different shapes and sizes, as you can see. All right, in fact, they don't even have to be all the same uniform size. You can have smaller ones and you can have larger ones on the same sheet of paper. Okay, so it's up to you, but basically what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing some tests. So just make some little circles or squares or little spaces for you to conduct some experiments with some techniques. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you might want to do is just tape down, put some tape down to make some little squares or rectangles or little spaces for you to work. You don't have to use masking tape if you don't want to. Certainly, you can just designate little spots. The masking tape's kind of fun because you just can work kind of freely, and then when it's all done, you just peel it off, and it should just preserve the white of the paper. Sometimes if you don't push it down, like on the edges, sometimes you'll get it'll bleed underneath there, but you'll learn that. And so it's better to learn that here than later. So I actually like the masking thing because it's technically just kind of another like kind of trick or tip that you guys get to learn. You can also get to kind of experience, and this is a test also to see what kind of tape you have and with the paper. Some paper is more strong than others. Sometimes if you use masking tape, from my experiences, it can lift up the paper. Sometimes it'll rip a little bit. I don't know about this paper yet. We will find out. Actually, I do know. It did seem to kind of almost tear up a little bit when I did. Sorry. When I did this, you can see it kind of just a little bit right there. You see that? That's not good. So this paper, I kind of suspect, may not be as tough as some of the others, but it's good. It's good for us. All right, so we're just going to keep going. And if it does tear up a little bit, that's fine. Now it may be the tape as well. I was using a really old like masking tape that I just found laying around the house. The blue tape may not do that. So this blue painter's tape, and especially if you kind of do it like the same day, or just like you paint and then after it dries and then you pull it up. If you don't leave it on there too long, it should probably come up okay. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so one of the first techniques that I like to teach my students is just to lay down like a flat wash. The term, what is a flat wash? It's generally what we're talking about is just kind of a even tone or even application of the paint over a large surface. That's basically what it is. Okay, so when you're going to make a wash, now these little areas are fairly small. I'll probably do another video where I just focus on just showing you guys how to do washes over a little bit larger sections. But for now, I like to do it on here, on these practice ones, because there's a little bit of a learning curve when you're doing them. So if you kind of screw them up in these first ones, we can let the paper dry, and then we can practice some dry surface techniques as well. So you can layer on over the top of them and do other practices. And we can also put down, and you could drop salt into them and do other things too, if it's not working out really great, just to kind of just maximize the amount of experiments we can do. Okay, so when you're making a wash, like a flat wash, when you mix up a color, now I'm just going to use, I'm going to reactivate, because these have all dried out, so I'm just going to get these, just kind of apply some water here, and then I'm going to start pulling it out here. Okay, so when you guys mix up a color, so this is just the ultramarine blue here, but if I wanted to mix it with, say, some cerulean blue or whatever, you want to make sure that you mix up enough. All right, so whatever you're going to mix, like if this is the blue that you're going to use for this, make sure that you mix enough so you have maybe even leftover. In fact, you probably do want quite a bit of leftover. So when you go over your area, you don't run out, because you can't. It's too hard to try to get the exact same mixture out there. And also, when you're doing a wash, you have to. Time is essential. You do not have a lot of time for these. You just need to basically just put them on, and there's no waiting in between. So if a phone calls or a text or something, it needs to wait until you're done laying down that wash. So I've created a mixture of ultramarine blue and this cerulean blue. Okay, and I like to do the washes in blue because it's actually it's practice for when you're doing skies and stuff. Now this brush is pretty small for doing large areas over this 1/4 inch flat. This is pretty small if you're going to be layering like skies over your whole sheet of paper. For us, we have the 1/2 inch, which would be better, or if you are able to get like a sumi brush or a mop brush, or those will be even better. But since we're just kind of working in a small area, I don't want to just, if I just use this brush or something like that, it's going to just fill this whole thing up really, really quickly, and we don't really get the practice of laying a wash in the challenge. And so there's a couple different a couple different theories when you're doing this. A lot of times people like to dampen the paper first, and which I'll show you the benefits of that here as we go on. But for me, I like just to do it straight on just dry paper. But it works different for everyone. So when you're doing this, and sometimes it is helpful to kind of tilt these up just a bit. And so, you know what, let's use our watercolor box here. Sometimes you have to just kind of be creative when you're at home. All right, so that's what we got. I'm just going to lay this wash down right here. And to lay it a flat wash, all you do is just kind of go right across the top. See that? All right, I kind of, and then you just pick up some more paint and you just kind of go right there. And it should even be tilted maybe just a little bit more so you get this bead that comes across this bottom part. Is it showing up? Yeah, okay. So there we go. There's another one. And you don't really want to play in it. You know, after you put it down on paper, you don't want to go back up in there. It's just better just to keep it going like this. All right. And so every time you kind of it rolls down. You see how it's kind of catching that bead right there? It's like the pool, like that water. It's like peeling up there. You just kind of go back over, pick that up, and kind of extend it down the paper. And there we go. We've layered a wash right in there. I might just clean up that bottom part. Suck up just a tiny bit of that. A little dry brush. Okay. And that's laying a flat wash on dry paper. And we can also get the paper damp and do washes, or you can be very wet. But that's there's a flat wash right there. Okay, and we can layer on. We can let this dry, and we can build on top of it. Or let's do another one really quick. Okay, so we just so we're gonna do another one here, and I've just mixed up just some. I haven't even mixed it. It's just cerulean blue. I've just pulled it out here, and so it's going to be the same consistency as I do this again. Now, it's really important when you're mixing a paint for doing a wash. You want to have a lot out there, more than you're going to need to finish it, so you do not run out. You don't want to have any risk of running out part way through your wash, because it's done at that point. You're not going to be able to save that probably. So again, this is going to be on dry paper. You could do this on damp. You could get this paper just a little damp, so where it's not like shiny. That would be like where the paper's wet, when it has a shine to it. When it's damp, you'll just feel it. It's just like a little bit cool to the touch. You can just kind of feel a little bit of moisture in the paper, and then the paint it just blends in a little bit better. But the problem is when you work on it wet, you're adding more water to the mixture, so the paint is going to be even lighter than you think. All the watercolor, it lightens up too over time. So when you have to put it on stronger than you think, so you have to just be kind of careful with that. So let's just do this again, and there we go. Sorry, I gotta go back to my spot. And again, I might want a little bit more. Just tilt it just a little bit more. Again, you'll see it like it's gonna run down. We're gonna pick up that bead. We're just gonna go straight across. I'm not adding water or anything to the brush. I'm just picking up that same paint as I'm going down. All right. Sometimes you kind of like those little, you get that tooth in there a little bit, but let's get rid of them. Kind of risky business there. Anytime you go back over this area, that's really, really risky. It's often not worth it, not worth the risk. So you just kind of keep going. And it's nice in your paintings to have a little bit of that dry brush kind of look in there. Okay, and so there it is. If you want to, you can always pick up that little bead at the end if you have like kind of a dry brush and kind of just suck it up. You don't want to go in there with like a wet brush. You'll create a little balloon. You'll see. I might do that on purpose here, just to show you. But I also kind of want just to show you, like, if your wash doesn't work out really well, try some blotting kind of techniques. So I let it dry too much, and I was working pretty dry on here. But you can see what does a paper towel kind of blot look like, and you can try to kind of lift out some of that paint on there. So if it's not working out really good and you just kind of screw up the thing, it's not all lost. Try to like pull out in there. Try to pull one out and experiment. Okay, these are just, who cares what these look like? This is just for you to practice with. All right. So maybe we'll do more on there. Who knows? But they're kind of fun. And you know what? If you kind of screw up, try to fix it. See what happens. I mean, that's how you learn. So you'll see, like, well, oh yeah, I think if things aren't going well, maybe I can try to do that and it will work out. Or maybe you'll learn like that almost never works. I'm going to stay away from that. So here, I'm just going to prepare this one. I'm going to get this one damp, and we'll do the same thing. Right now, it's wet. So if you were to see this, it's not flooded. There's kind of different ways that artists kind of talk about water on your paper. Now that's kind of flooded, where it's just like super just pooling up, and you can visibly see it. Once it's just like kind of wet, you'll just see like a shine to it. And then when it's damp, you won't see a shine to it. You'll just feel like kind of a little bit of the moisture in the paper. Okay, and so when you do washes on any of these, they all kind of look a little bit different, but they're all kind of useful. So should we drop one in? Should we see what it looks like on wet? Yes, I dare. Let's dare. Let's do it. Well, this is too big of a brush. Well, whatever. See how much different that looks? And it's just going to run. You just kind of just go across it. But see how much more light this is? This color right here is just a mixture of these two. But what happens is, you're like, it looks so much lighter. You're right, because there's already water on the paper, so it just made it lighter. Now, does it blend really smoothly? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all just kind of runs together. So it's pretty easy. But if you want like a nice, like a darker kind of wash on there, it's hard to get them really a dark value in there when you flood the paper or it's really wet, because your paints can only kind of go so far. The pigment, it's only going to get so dark when you add that much water to it. Okay, so, and again, because this one's wet, we should really be able to suck up stuff here. All right, so look at that, kind of almost some nice little clouds you can kind of see. All right. Anyway, hopefully those ones were helpful. We're going to continue on. All right. So I thought maybe I'd do one more thing that's just a little different. So those were flat washes. At least they started off that way. Now I'm going to show you guys what we call like a graded wash. So a graded wash is basically where it's going to start with like a darker value and work to a lighter value, or vice versa. So I'm going to start kind of typically the more typical graded wash that's applicable in watercolor is for painting skies. You kind of see it's like a little bit more blue at the top, and as it kind of gets closer down to the horizon line, it gets just a little bit lighter and lighter and lighter. Well, that's what we're going to try to do here. And so what you're going to do is, we'll see how small we can do this. Okay, I just mixed these colors that I had together from this last ones. And now I'm just gonna, maybe I'll do one more pass here with this full strength. So just like we're doing with the flat wash over here. But now we're going to start, you just add some water. So I actually added water to that mixture that we had before. And I'm just gonna, each time I'm just gonna add just a tiny bit more water as I go across. This isn't my best one, but we'll just keep it going. All right, and then maybe at this point we just need to really just get a lot more water into this. Okay. And then maybe right now let's just pick up some just clean water. So this water doesn't have any paint in it at all. This is just pure water as I kind of finish off as I come down here. Okay, I did end up with a streak in there because I wasn't paying close attention. But oops, that one's a stiff brush. Let's just suck it up with this dry brush. There we go. All right, so it's not a perfect one, but okay, it's okay. You guys get the idea. So it's darker up there, and it's kind of getting gradually lighter as it goes down this direction. Again, you know, if you kind of screw them up or whatever, you don't like them. Oh, it's too dry. That's my fault. But you guys get the idea. And so if it happens and that didn't work out the first one, let's try another one. You know, and that's the beauty of doing these on here is this is just practice. So, you know, even me, like I screw up all the time. There's an example of it. So, hey guys, so this video is getting a little long, and so I'm going to break it up into two parts. So if you have been enjoying it so far, you're in luck because the next part's even better. And if you haven't been enjoying it so far, I'm sorry, but guess what? The next part, part 2, is the exciting part where we actually get to see a lot of the different techniques happening. So stay tuned. I'm not saying goodbye. We are coming right back with video number 2. So get ready for that. It's happening now. I'll see you in video 2 coming up right now.